Hi, this is Kalyan Karmakar, and welcome to Foodocracy for Her. It's a very special episode because it's airing on Women's Day, which is a coincidence. And I've also got a very special guest today because joining us is Sherry, whom I first met in Kolkata when I'd gone for my book launch. And today she's talking to us from Mumbai, and she's starting something new. This is not her first stint in the city. We are going to talk about that as well. But I'm going to take a couple of minutes before that and tell you a bit about Foodocracy for Her. It's a journey which started in 5th May 2020 after the lockdown, and for about a year before that, I'd met this former colleague of mine, Ira, and I'd gone to one of these business networking meets, which was for women, and I was a panelist there. And after that, Ira and I were wondering for a while if I can do something together for women entrepreneurs. And before the lockdown, and we were planning various things. We had a lot of strategies. We were wondering how to sell it, how to pitch it, how will we monetize it, and then we could not really figure out a way. And then the lockdown happened, and like everyone, I was wondering what to do with my time and my life, and that's when the slew of Instagram lives started, and that's when I thought of the idea of doing Instagram lives with women entrepreneurs. So I reached out to people in the industry whom I knew, like starting with Pinky Chandan Dixit, who runs Som. Then I went to Jamshedpur for Gayatri, who runs Madrasi Hotel. Then to Kolkata with Doma and Manzilat, and back to Mumbai, Shubhashi, Bonnie. And every week I would keep doing these interviews as lives. And when I'm seeing those old interviews, it was funny because those are the days where the lives would happen, and you're waiting for your guest to join in, and you've given this glorious introduction, and the guest can't join in. And with subsequent, episodes, my hair would go more long and scraggly because the salons and everything was shut. So it was growing here. It was growing here. Nothing would grow here, of course, but it was a bit funny. It reminded me of college when we saw this movie Khalnaik of Sanjay Dutt, and we all trying to grow our hair long back then in Calcutta. So it was a great journey, and then I started doing this as a Zoom interview as lives became less popular, and then I can share it at various places. So you might be watching this on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or hearing it on my podcast. But it's been a fabulous journey every week to speak to women from different parts of the country. Some who run restaurants, some who do workshops, some who do home chefs, some who run academies, some who run a product range of condiments, some who are starting off restaurants of their own. And each time I would do this interview, I would leave completely inspired. And it's been just fabulous. And a big thank you for everyone who's been a panelist so far, because I've learned so much from each of you. Everyone who's watched it, shared it, because these are stories which need to be shared. There's only so much I can do, but if all of you share it, then these stories will go even further. And today we are going to hear Sherry's story. Sherry is originally from Shimla. She was born there, and it's a hot afternoon in Mumbai. So Sherry, maybe you need to also make Shimla your summer capital like the British. How does it?
I
Yes.
think I might settle down in Bombay, but yes, rightly said. Looking at the weather, I might have to decide and give it a call.
But I must say that Mumbai can be very addictive. I moved into Mumbai in '97
It is.
for training when I was in market research. And now it's home. I've got a wife here, two cats here. And you've also become a cat parent. Tell us a bit about that, Sherry.
Yes, yes. So I was someone who always wanted to have dogs, and I've had dogs since childhood. I've always been a dog lover. And then when I moved to Pune, I was very clear that I don't want to have dogs at home because I was busy with my work, I was traveling, and my kids were just after me that mom, we need to have a dog again in Pune. And then suddenly one of my friends had these rescued cats, and she brought these cats home, and she said, "Why don't you keep these cats?" I was like, "No, I'm not a cat person at all." She said, "You must give it a try, Sherry." And that is where our journey started. And today I proudly say that I'm a mother of 5 kids. So if they are not around us, we feel so incomplete. And while being with them, I've realized that it's not that we have to just be after them or run after them. In fact, they are the ones who are ruling the house, so we have to look after them. It's a different journey altogether, but yeah, definitely enjoying to be with them, be around them. So yeah. And you tell me, how's your journey as a cat parent?
I was going to say that I'm not a cat person. Sounds like such famous last words, because I used to dislike cats. I love dogs and every other sort of pets, but I used to dislike cats. My wife Kainas was never too comfortable with pets. And then Baby Loaf walked into our lives. I don't know if you guys saw him, but he walked behind me and just went in over there.
Yes, yes.
And then
Yeah.
he came into our life. Then came little Nimki. So we are now cat parents of two. And just down the road, the park, there's a bunch of cats over there who my friend Priyanka feeds. And they're my biggest motivation for going for walks. So for the last 3 weeks, I've been going every evening by about 6:30 for a walk and to see them. And we sort of lost 2 kilos in the process. So it's but
Well,
it's
that's a good
dangerous.
thing.
And it's dangerous territory because this morning I met our friend Ruchika, who became a cat parent after we did, and the whole breakfast went into talking about the cats, and it extended into lunch. So it might become foodocracy for cats. But so Sherry,
I can imagine.
you were talking of kids and human kids and cat kids. I just had an interesting conversation before we started this chat. So I want to get your point of view on that also as a woman and a mother. So I was talking to Banu, who's been our cook and house help for years now, almost 16, 17 years. Like Anna said, she's quite the feisty women's lib person because she's lived life in her own terms, and when took
Right.
her husband out and whatever, and said that I'm running the house, and she did. So I was giving her some chocolates to take home today for her grandkids, and her youngest grandkid is Sumera, who's a girl, 4 years. So
Okay.
she told me, and it's very interesting. She said that Sumera is now apparently the apple of the eye. So the other grandkids are boys, but everyone gives in the family, like even grandparents and all that, give all the gifts to her. So even when she takes gifts from our house, she says that bheja hai Sumera ke liye. So I thought it's very interesting that from a conservative family and comparatively not that well off strata of society and all
Right.
that, the fact that the granddaughter is now the apple of their eyes. So that's quite a change from what we knew. So as a mother, and you have friends who have kids and all that, do you see the transition happening? Like people,
Absolutely.
yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. So I am a mother of three kids. I have a 12-year-old daughter, and then I have twins, a girl and a boy. And what I've realized is now that the girls are the one who's ruling our house, and everything revolves around their happiness. The poor boy is just sitting in one corner and just waiting that what the elder sister and the younger sister are going to request, and that's going to happen. So many times, there are people coming over and they are like, Sherry, you're too biased towards your daughters, and your son is just sitting in one corner. Whenever we are asking him, what will you eat? Whatever Didi will eat, whatever Namya will eat. So that's the response we receive from him. But yes, of course, everything has changed. Me also coming from a small town, people there are very different. They still, think in a very different way. But I think slowly with time, things have changed a lot. And, you know, uh, I cannot think of, my day starting without my girls. Even if I have to do something, or if there's any achievement in my life, the first thing which there in my mind is that, oh, I have to give them a call. I just need to do a FaceTime. I need to share it with them.
With
So
whom?
many times it's just not there
With
in my
whom?
system that
Sorry, FaceTime and share
with
with whom?
Lasya and Namya, with
Okay.
Lasya and Namya. Yeah, so both my girls. And so many times people like, why you have a son also? Please go ahead and inform him. I'm like, he, he will understand, don't worry. So definitely things have changed. And for us also, it's always both the girls. And they are actually ruling all of us around. And now, of course, two more girls, Luna and Amber. These two cats
Oh,
are
they're both
also a part of
girls.
our family. So they are the yeah. So there are four girls in my house, and
Okay,
they are ruling it.
I've got two
Yeah,
boys, so baat chalata hu.
ekdam, bilkul.
No, but
That sounds good.
there are two cats in a building, Pittu and Penny. They've already
Okay.
sort of, but they can
Oh,
have more. Why mono- So, but
nice,
I will
nice.
tell you another interesting story which I heard today from our friend, and she was saying that she has this driver for many years who's now like been part of the house. And when he was first started to work with her, he didn't have kids, and uh, and then she told him that when you have kids, if they are girls, then I will take care of the education and everything. If it's
Wow.
a boy, then you take care. But she said that basically I was trying to sort of encourage him, because he also comes from the north of India,
Yeah.
and he had all these worries that the Dahej kaise denge and all of that, and
Yeah.
stuff. And she was trying to encourage him. And then one day he came and said, "Madam, abhi mera do beti hua hai." So she's of course very
Wow.
happy, and sort of this thing. But it's
Right.
nice. It just so happens that it's Women's Day, and there'll be a lot of events and this and all of that. But it's also nice to hear these stories from our own lives, from Banu's lives, from
Exactly.
Ruchika's lives, from your life, your human girls and your cat girls, and it's
I
uh,
still remember when I was expecting my twins, people, used to come and say, अरे तुम्हारे अब दो लड़के होने चाहिए, वो तुम्हें बुढ़ापे का सहारा बनेंगे, they will look after you, like people say. And this is, so I was like, what is so different about uh, having two boys in my life? I'm not against, all this, but the way they have been thinking about it. And surprisingly, I come from a family where, they've always been supportive with my career. They've always taught us that, getting married is not the end of the story. You should focus on yourself. You should focus on your career. So that's what even I have learned. And maybe that's the reason I'm more biased towards my girls. So whatever you told me about Banu also, I feel that's with all grandparents also. So right now, I wanted to tell you that both my girls are with my mom in Shimla. She said I'm taking them for a holiday.
oh, how
So they
lucky.
are already enjoying Shimla. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it's and I must say this Budape de mein dekhna, now that I'm
Yes,
seeing, now that I'm at least going at this age, and seeing your parents grow older, grandparents grow very old, and also among our friend circle, I've actually seen in more
right.
cases than not. And of course, I'm a guy,
Yes,
and there's nothing proud about
yeah.
that. But I must say that in more cases
Right.
than not, I see that the daughter, is more sincere, meticulous, everything about looking after the parent, even after they're
Yeah.
married off and have their own families. Than I think we guys are. Yeah, and it's not something to be proud of, but this whole thing of budape mein kaun dekhega, even when the daughter has her own family, and I've seen in our
Yeah.
lives,
So
and
it's
in that
very
of
different
friends.
with girls, Kalyan. They remember every small thing about us. They can see, okay, mom, today we have to give her that matching bag. What will she like to eat? They prepare those surprises for us. Sometimes I just get breakfast on the table. She'll make pancakes for me, watching YouTube videos. So yeah, that
I, I,
entire journey is good.
I remember when we taken Baby Loaf in, and in the beginning,
Yeah.
we thought he was a girl, and I used to refer to him as
Okay.
Maharani because she was very princely and all of that. And I
Right.
remember at that point, Kenna was
Yeah.
once putting a picture, my wife, of Baby Loaf in the house, and Maharani then, and she wrote something to the effect on social media that here there's finally someone at home with whom I can discuss, I don't know, like poems or hair colors or matching things.
Right.
And then we figured out he was a boy. So yeah, and I was, when I think of my own, it's so much about your experiences, conditioning. So I lost my dad when I was pretty young, and my brother was even younger. So we've been brought up
Yeah.
by my mom, and as a working mom, and then now I'm married to someone who's very successful in her career, and it's her support which sort of allows me to follow my dreams. So I think a lot of that also went into
Absolutely.
this conceptualizing of foodocracy for her and
Absolutely.
those sort of
Yeah.
impacts. And also being someone who studied sociology, which is more, there were more girls in college than class than boys, qualitative research, which is more girls, food blogging, food writing, more girls again. So yeah, I mean, no complaints. But yes, now coming to your story, Sherry, while growing up in Shimla, you were also Miss Shimla. So what
Yeah.
was so first of all, congratulations on that. And was that like a lark, or did you have at that point you were trying to figure out whether you wanted to become maybe a model or something like that, or food? How did you think towards, what were you thinking at that time? What was your aspiration then? And also, like you said,
So,
in a smaller city, in a comparatively
yeah.
smaller city.
Yeah. So, since 12 or 13 years of age, I realized that I have that interest in the kitchen more than my books. I was all the time spending time in the kitchen, and that time, we all know those kitchens were big, where they were, making masalas, they were making pickles. It was whole elaborated process for each and every cooking and whatever the ladies used to do there. It used to be like a lot of time spending process. There was a tandoor outside, and from
Oh,
there, where the Sandha Chula culture came into existence and everything. So more than my books, I started spending time with all these things. And I still remember my mother running after me that, Sherry, oh, you have exams, please, you need to study. Teachers complaining that she's not good in maths. Oh my God, maths still sucks me. It's the same scene right till
yeah.
date. Anyways, but yeah, my so what happened since childhood, somewhere, I don't know from where this happened, but organically I've started getting roles for movies at a very tender age. And then that time my father was, I also lost my father at a very young age. I was just 13 years old, and my mother has raised all three of us. So around, I think when I was 9 years old, that was the first movie role which I got. And that time, my family was like, no, Sherry, you have to pursue this, you have to pursue this. And all the time I used to say no, all the time. And that kept on happening. Uh,
They wanted you
but
to pursue.
somehow
Sorry, they wanted
they
you to
wanted me to pursue
be in
acting.
movies.
Yeah.
Okay. Ah.
Yeah, they wanted me to do that
And
because
these were Hindi
I was
films?
just,
Hindi films?
these were Hindi movies. Yeah, they were Hindi movies. It was Bollywood. But I wasn't keen. I was like, okay, I should read books on food. I should read books on history, traveling. So this was something which was, appealing me at that age. And this so there's this concert which is done by Himachal government every year at the Ridge, if you've gone to Shimla.
Not
And
yet.
yeah, this Miss Shimla contest is also a part of that. And from last 4 years, they were just, you know, after my life to fill up the forms, do this Miss Shimla thing. And I was like, I don't want to do this. Let me study. And at that time, I gave my IHM entrance exam also. I was
Okay.
very clear that I want to become a chef.
Oh.
But one day, my mom just, she didn't inform me. And then she has just filled up the forms and everything. And then she's just coming home that you are a part and you have to do this. You have to participate in this contest. And I was like, no, mom, I can't do this. Please, you have to do it for me. And typical North Indian house, that crying, melodrama, everything happened. And then there was no other choice. But yes, no regrets. I was crowned Miss Shimla, and I won other titles also that night. So I was Miss Photogenic. I was Miss Photogenic. I was Miss Shimla, and they gave me two, three more titles, and I was supposed to send for Miss India the same year.
The
But
contest.
then I said no, I don't want to do this, and I realized that kitchen is something where that's my place, there where I belong. But then I never pursued it further. They were acting was still not leaving me. I was still being approached by the industry for the roles, and but I never pursued it. I
So
never
you have you acted
took
in
it
any
that
films?
seriously.
Have you
No,
acted
I
in it?
haven't.
Oh,
No, I
okay.
haven't.
So
That is something which, yeah, I never wanted to do. I'm
uh,
still that keeps on happening with me. That phase has still not gone out of my life. People still call me for that job profile. But yeah, somewhere I realized, no, that's not something what I wanted to do. Then I got married after a few years, after just completing my graduation. And being married to a hotelier, uh, somewhere I realized, okay, I could see the kitchen very closely, the professional kitchen, and I realized that journey is not going to be the same what I thought of. Because when you see the struggle of a commercial kitchen is totally different from a normal kitchen. Like, I'm a home chef. When I'm cooking something at home, it's in a small portion, but commercial kitchens, those experiences being in the kitchen have been totally different. I still remember when my husband was working for the Leelas in Chennai. That was the time, that was the ice breaking for me. That people have been just asking me कि हमको कहीं पे सिंपल दाल रोटी मिलेगा, यहाँ पर तो इडली और डोसा मिलता है.
Yeah.
So I just, in my neighborhood, there were these North Indian bachelors, and I had just sent them simple bhindi, dal, roti.
That was
And
my
they were
lunch,
like,
huh?
ma'am.
Today my lunch is bhindi, cholar
Okay.
dal, and roti. Go ahead.
Okay. Wow.
What a
So
coincidence.
then
Yes,
they were
go
like,
ahead.
yeah, what a coincidence. They were like, ma'am, now you have to give us food every day. I was like, no, you have to give us food every day. And I still remember they were 16 bachelors all together. They were this IT company guys. So from there, my journey started. So from 16 meals, it became 45 meals. And then
This
one
was in
day,
Chennai. This was in
this was
Chennai.
in Chennai.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'll interrupt you once, if you don't mind. But I have a Chennai story of my own, and I can relate to this. So,
Okay.
in the beginning of my career, I used to be in market research, and Ford was one of our clients. So I would keep going from Mumbai to Ford in Chennai to present. And our client, his name was Rohit Sharma, not the cricketer. So he was Punjabi, and he just moved to Chennai to work in Ford. He used to be in market research himself, and we would go and eat in the Ford canteen before leaving, and it was vegetarian and South Indian food. And I also hated them because I just left Calcutta and I wanted non-veg. And Rohit was vegetarian, but he said that he missed getting rotis. And years later we are connected again because his wife is a home chef now in Mumbai, started during the lockdown. So I'm sure he gets his
Wow.
rotis. Indian.
Yeah. It was a big challenge, especially for
So
people who are there for their jobs. Yeah.
yeah, because these
Yeah.
were people working there. But though things have changed a lot. When I went to Chennai a few years back, I came across more people speaking in Hindi in the restaurants, the staff,
Yes.
and all that.
Yeah.
With Uber earlier, it used to be very tough. So tell me after that. So in a way, then that was your first serious foray into food. This
Yes.
the Chennai thing. Also,
Yeah.
that reminds me of Mumbai. That when these people, the Malwani restaurants, do you know how Malwani restaurants in Mumbai started?
No,
The
I don't
people.
know, but I would love to know about.
Yes, so I must tell you this. So the Malwani restaurants originally started when people from the coastal Malwan region of Maharashtra, the men from there came to work to Mumbai in the cotton mills at the time of the British. So the men would come alone,
Okay.
and their families, their wives, kids, mothers, everyone would stay back in Malwan, and they would work here. So there was no option for food. So then there were these few ladies who'd be called moshis, so like mosi or mashi in Bengali. They used to run what we can call in a way a mess. So like little places where they would cook
Okay.
home cooked Malwani food, which is from the coastal
Yeah.
region. So more coconut based, seafood based, and all that. And the boys would go and eat there, and there would be a khata, and at the end of the month they would pay. Those then with time became part of what are called the lunch homes, the Malwani lunch homes.
Yeah.
Which is,
Yeah.
so
Oh,
you find
okay.
most of these in places
Yeah.
like Dadar and Parel in Mumbai, which used to be the mill lands. And then
Yes.
those are in a way the only real Maharashtrian restaurants in Mumbai, and a few of the vegetarian ones who are also run by people from the Malwan area.
Oh,
So
lovely.
it's
That's nice.
so
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
restaurants
That's
actually
interesting.
started. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in a way, it
Nice.
is a similar story. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to sort of cut this echo which is happening. So tell me, what was your next phase after that?
So, yeah. So then, chefs were coming home, and I was just cooking up simple Himachali meals, when they were coming for dinners at home. And then
Yes.
one of the chef, we just spoke in stretch about Himachali cuisine. And then he was like, Sherry, nobody knows about this food. I had it first time at your place. And after 1 week, I received this call from Marriott that, you have been invited to do a Himachali food festival. And from
Which
there,
Marriott was this?
Hyderabad.
Hyderabad.
Yeah, for the first
Is it the
time, I
one which
stepped
looks
into.
under Hussain
Yes,
Sagar
same.
Lake?
Yes,
So
same.
there's one more connection today, apart from our bhindi and cholar dal
Okay.
thing. So at the start of my
Okay.
career, VST used to be a client of mine, the cigarette company. And I was in
Okay.
IMRB Calcutta, where we met also in Calcutta for the first time. So we used to go to
Yeah.
Hyderabad to do the focus groups and present. And we used to stay in a hotel called the Viceroy, which is very new then, and which was on the
Okay.
Hussain Sagar Lake, which is now the Marriott. And if you paid 200 rupees extra, which we used to pay, you would get a lake facing room. So it was 1600 and
Okay.
1800. Yes. So tell me about your Marriott, your first exposure.
Yeah. So then, I strongly believe in universe, and I feel that somewhere, back in my head, it was always to work in a commercial kitchen, and always wanted to become a chef. And that is somewhere that day I was extremely, extremely happy. And I was like, okay. But yes, I never thought that I will be promoting my state cuisine in a five-star property. So, both the things gave me so much happiness that, okay, I'm going to represent my state. I'm going to represent my state's cuisine there. And to my surprise, everyone loved the food. It gave them great business. And more than that, people were so happy to know that the state has its own cuisine.
Hmm.
So that made me realize that I need to promote, my state cuisine. Then I started studying more about it. I started traveling to different places in Himachal, and there where I got this identity, a girl from the hills.
Yes.
Yeah,
Your original
yeah,
handle also, social media handle, Girl from the
yeah,
Hills. I remember when I did
yeah.
stories for NDTV Food and all that, I would reach out to you for Himachal food stories. And
Yes, yes.
tell us a bit about Himachali food, or what makes it unique, or what is different if you were to introduce it to someone like who doesn't, like most of us don't know anything about Himachali food. In fact, we are a bit confused. Is Himachal the same as Uttaranchal, where recently Chef Thomas Zacharias was traveling, or is it different? You're in a way an ambassador for your state through its food. So tell us a bit about that.
So, 4,000 years back, when Raja Meru was, doing tapasya in the hills, that is where he wanted to offer something to the gods. And Himachal is known as Devbhumi because that's the place where you will have maximum temples. They are still there. Uh, and that is why, that time he realized that I need something very different to be offered to all the god and goddesses. So he had bought these Khan Samas from Kashmir. They traveled from Kashmir to Chamba. Now, Chamba is again a small place in Himachal Pradesh. So from there, the Vazwan food traveled. So they bought the yogurt, the fennel, the whole spices, the mustard oil with them. So if you know, like there is yakni, which is made in curd.
Yes.
And then we have madra from Himachal, but madra is vegetarian. It is made out of chana, or it is made out with rajma. Not the normal rajma, but the Jammu rajma, because it was traveled from Kashmir. So he said, I want something, but I want vegetarian because it has to be offered to the gods. So these Khansamas prepared a meal for all of them, and that meal was called dham. Now that dham consisted of different kind of pulses, but different kind of pulses have a very different taste altogether. And the first thing which we have in the dham is a sweet. So we don't have sweet after our meal. We have the first thing in our meal is always a dessert in a dham.
Like the
So it
bodis.
traveled on.
Like the
Yes,
bodi thal, they
yes,
start with a
yes,
sweet.
yes. Yeah. So overall, it's a whole experience. Now that became an integral part of our cuisine. And now you will find it more in all the weddings which are happening in Himachal. You will find in most of the temples, they are serving dham. Now each state has its own dham. So when this rajma traveled from Jammu, and it was cooked in Chamba. Now Chamba girls were married to Kangra, Kangra boys. So from there it traveled to Kangra, but the twist to the Rajma Madra was the Chana Madra, because the availability of chana was more, which has traveled from Punjab. Yeah. So there was there. If I have to put all together, the food which has traveled from Punjab, Kashmir, uh, and surprisingly a different country, Tibet, altogether comprises altogether in one state. Food is rustic, food is simple, very minimal ingredients are used. Of course, it is rich because the weather, the climatic conditions are very, very cold. The more focus is on pulses, the more focus is on grains, because all the time you will not get green vegetables. The availability is not there. Then there is another part of Himachal Pradesh which has only Rajput community. Now Rajputs traveled from Rajasthan, and they settled and make Kotkai, Kotgar, Rodu as their permanent resident. And they are the ones who have the main orchards from where apples supply to entire world. Now they are the only meat eaters in the entire state. So the famous Shah meat, which you have also relished, come from this region of Himachal Pradesh. Yeah.
But
So
this,
yes.
I think that thanks so much for sharing that. And now I can understand, I've had your cooking, I think a few times in Mumbai, first at the FBI meet, home chef meet, where different people were doing different things, and you were doing the chapli kebabs, right?
Yes.
Which is on the
Yes. Yes.
tawa, like
Yeah.
the lauti in a sense, the tikka in a sense, but very different, and it is so
Right.
good. And then of
Thank
course
you
you did
so
it
much, Kanak.
with Westin, and we were there on day one where things were still falling into place. And then I remember
Yeah, I always remember that.
but those are the baptism by fire, I guess. Yeah.
Oh my God.
But all of that I'm sure is part of the learning experience. But then I remember that there
Yeah,
was this
absolutely.
festival which you did as part of the mustard restaurant in Mumbai, and mustards run also
Yes.
by two women, Poonam and Shilpa, and
Right.
I remember that I think you were doing more of the vegetarian side of the Punjabi food
Yeah.
that, and there was another gentleman I think who was doing the non-veg side. Of course, you do both, and I remember I was having dinner with Kunal Vijaykar that day, and we are both meat eaters, but I think the
Right.
vegetarian food sort of entranced us more that day. And there was such, if you see the name of the dishes, you will see rajma, chana masala, saag.
Right.
Acha, this is typical North Indian Punjabi food, but it's so
Right.
nuanced, so different. And
Right.
but you also do Punjabi food, right? And do you where does that part come in your heritage, or
Yeah.
you do
So the thing
lahori for
again, yeah. So whenever I've been going out or traveling, all I realize is that Kalyan, everyone was like you also mentioned right now, everyone has been talking about chole bhature, butter chicken, dal makhni. And then I realized that, this is not the food. This is not the actual food which belongs to Punjab. Then I started making people aware that how 60% of the community is vegetarian, and what kind of vegetarian food they eat. And the other side of Punjab, which is in Pakistan, what kind of food they eat. And that's why I named this cuisine as undivided Punjab, and how different communities have different kind of way of cooking their meals. Like if I talk about the Punjab in Pakistan, if I talk about cities like Rawalpindi, Lahore, Peshawar, so in this side of Punjab, you'll see if we are making a simple vegetable like beans or gobi or anything, maybe I can say overall in India, we combine it with potatoes. We love potatoes, but
which is new to the subcontinent, which is about 300 years
yeah,
old in the subcontinent.
yes, absolutely. But if we talk about other side of Punjab, so they will combine every vegetable, even a karela with meats. So either they will make it with
Like the
mutton or
Parsis,
with beef.
like the
Yeah, yeah.
Parsis.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, the
Nice.
Parsis do
So
that.
they
Yeah.
combine it with meats and they cook everything like that. So chole, which we cook at home, is very different for which we get outside. It's not something which we are eating at home. It's a simple curry which we are cooking at home. Maybe maximum you will add fried paneer. At that time, we never used to add direct, a raw paneer into any
We
curry.
had a
There was
discussion on
always,
that. You and I had a discussion on that because growing up,
yes,
I've
yes,
had fried
yeah.
paneer, and you once did fried paneer, and I felt so good because everyone does the katsa paneer
Yes,
restaurants in
yes,
Mumbai.
yes,
In Calcutta
yeah.
quality and all that, they would do the fried paneer.
Yes, yes, yes. I've had that. So, yeah, these are small things which make a lot of difference. And then I realized that people are only talking about paneer makhni, butter chicken. And then I started, cooking and making people aware through my pop-ups that this is the true essence of Punjab. Somewhere I realized I succeeded. People really love the food and they appreciate it also. So a small, a simple recipe like a white dal, the white urad dal, which is made with fenugreek leaves. Nobody knows about these recipes, which are just restricted to our own homes. But these are the kind of simple dishes which actually make Punjab, which is all about Punjab. So I do feel offended sometimes that okay, people think, "Acha Punjabi ho, butter chicken to bana ke khilai dena."
So
So it's not on my menu.
unfortunately, I didn't know you when I was in Calcutta. Where I must also confess to a similar thing. So when I moved to Mumbai from Calcutta in '97, then my office, IMRB, they put me up in a PG in Bandra, Mumbai, which was with a Punjabi family. And the first time I'm staying away from home. I've not studied in a hostel. So, and I'm Bengali and grown up in Calcutta, and it's all about
Right.
non-veg. So I thought, oh, okay, theek hai, I'm staying with a Punjabi family. So every day I'm going to have butter chicken and tandoori roti for dinner, and occasionally deem tadka for the Calcutta dhaba. Then I go there,
Right.
and two shocks. First shock was it was an Indian toilet. So and at that time, which is pretty prevalent in old houses in
Yeah, yeah.
Mumbai. And the
Right.
second shock was, and I don't know which was the bigger shock, they were vegetarians, and meal was a part of my package. And they would
Okay.
be vegetarian, and in the morning they would have idli dosa. So I say, "Aap log kaise Punjabi ho?" So because they had relatives in Kerala, so they say. And then
Right.
I figured out that they were Agarwals. So they said we are Punjabi Hindus, and we don't even allow non-veg into our house. And I was like, "What the hell? This
Yeah.
is like kitna dhoka." But over time, I learned to realize. So in that house, like every night, like the roti, there was a cook called Sapan. So every night he would make the roti puff up like this, and he'd get it straight to the table. And there would be a simple dal or a lauki. On Sunday there would be chole bhature made at home, and otherwise there's sag and stuff like that. And there would be rice and this thing. And I would say no to ghee because I'm Bengali, and we wouldn't consider even having
Yeah.
ghee. We are poor people. Like Punjabis mein sab kuch mein ghee dala. So,
Oh,
but my landlady, unfortunately, she's no more. I got to hear she passed away last year. But it
oh,
is
okay.
that that initial year of nourishing Punjabi ghar ka khana,
Yeah.
fresh rotis, subah
Yeah.
ko aloo ka paratha, which
Yes.
helped Kanas fall in love with me also because I had to take them for her. I think that
Okay.
is what made me feel at home in Mumbai, which is not a Punjabi city. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you see
Yeah.
yourself now as a girl from the hills or girl from the land of what, 5 rivers or 7 rivers? Kitna hai Punjab mein? Land of kitna rivers?
Five.
So land of 5 rivers or hills or girl who has no name, like Game of Thrones.
So let me put it better. I will say that I'm a Punjabi, but
Ah,
a Punjabi from hills. So both are close to me, always will be. These are two states, which will always have that special place in my heart. And I realize the connection is only and only food.
and
So yeah,
and now you're a Mumbaiker.
now
And
I'm
now,
a Mumbaikar because
girl
the
from the
city is
seas,
not ready to leave me. Girl from the seas.
girl
This
from the
city is not
beaches,
ready to leave me at
uh,
all.
girl from the beaches. Okay, so a
Yeah,
lot of there are lots and lots of women and men also who love to cook, and they've always thought that they'll take it to a larger stage, but they never knew how. During the lockdown, many people started. I mean, just as for example, I mean these things before the lockdown, I would have to think of a TV studio, but now we are doing it this way. So,
Right.
so they would want to know from someone like you, who's had the experience of taking food from your home, cook style, to like working with, five-star hotels and maybe male executive chefs and crews, or like high-end restaurants like Mustard. Then you went to Dhaka with Nayana Afroz,
Yeah.
and you did the large, what, 2,000 odd people you cooked for the Indian High Commission. And
Yes.
Nayana Afroz and
Yes.
Pita did an undivided Bengal. So you've done undivided Punjab. So how is cooking in a commercial sort of platform, and how different is it? How scary is it? How intimidating is it? Can people aspire to do it, or is it only one or two people who are like real cats who can do it? What is your take?
So honestly, Kalyan, of course, everything has a procedure. Everything comes with a learning. When I first entered into a commercial kitchen 8 years back, I was not the same person what I am right now. When we cook a small portion at home, we'll just go to a bhaji wala, we'll get a bhaji, we'll chop and we'll cook, and there are no measurements to it. When you're working in a commercial kitchen, there are so many essentials attached to it. You have to take care of your costings, you have to take care of your measurements, you need to understand how many, what will be your portion size, which needs to go out. So I believe, of course, we will learn that with time. All I've realized is that the more you keep your food real, the more you keep your food. I don't want to use the word authentic because everyone has their authentic recipes. But
Real is a
yeah,
good
the
word.
more you
Yeah,
keep
real
your
is a
food
good word.
real, yeah, the more, yeah. Because see, every woman, every home has their own recipes. It should not be a gender specific thing, but every home has their own recipes. So the more you keep it real, I think the more you will be appreciated. I still remember the first day when I entered the kitchen. I was wearing my very fancy slippers with a chef coat, and then I realized I can't do that. So with time and everything, I realized that
Because you can't
okay,
have
this is not going
manicured
to work,
nails
Sherry.
and nail paint and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. So I've done all that, and then I realized no. With time, I have to learn so many things, and with this journey of 8 years, and of learning more and more, and I'm still learning, and I will keep on learning. I think things will work for us, and of course, it is not at all scary. Once you decide you have to do it, you will be able to do it, because obviously you will cook and you will feed people, and the ones who love food will be happy with that. So I think you have to just be real. There are days when I tell chef, okay chef, मुझे इसका costing करना नहीं आता, आप कर दो, मैं नहीं कर सकती. I don't know how to put 5 grams jeera in a recipe.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's always good to learn. Just be honest with everything and just go with the flow. So, I'm sure we all will reach where we have to, where whatever goals we have decided in our lives. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a whole process.
I wanted to ask you a question, because you're talking about this chef incident right now, and it's also Women's Day. Normally, when I speak to folks in foodocracy for her, I speak more about their professional thing and not just as women, because they are actually professionals. But it's also Women's
Right.
Day, and the fact is, the reality of the Indian restaurant industry or hotel industry is, and largely across the world also, that it's a very male dominated thing. While at home it's all the women who cook, in restaurants or hotels it's largely been the men, though it's slightly changing. And even within that, like I was talking with Shreya Shetty last week in Foodocracy for her, even when women work, it's largely in what's called the cold kitchen, the patisserie, and it has its own intricacies, skills. But what's the hot kitchen, which is where the main khana is being made, and with the hot fires and the crowd and the Hell's Kitchen sort of thing, there are not too many women. So a lot of home chefs who are at the stage where you would have been maybe 8 years back might feel a bit intimidated, because some of them have never worked in their
Yeah.
lives. They've been at home, they've not interacted with professionals, and then they might feel a bit intimidated about going to an area which is, only men around. So how has that experience been for you? I mean, is it more professional out there, or have you seen that changing over 8 years? also as you've grown in confidence and the market's changing?
Honestly speaking, Kalwan, good you have brought this up. It has been overall it has been a mixed experience, but with time I've understood that you need to earn that respect. You need to be comfortable around them. Men are not someone who will always be bad to us. The moment I've opened my Kanak, let me tell you good things about men also. So wherever I've worked in these last 8 years, I have been receiving calls from kitchens. Didi, हमको आपके साथ काम करना है. Didi, हमको रख लो. Didi, we want to work with you. And now it is difficult for me to say no to them. So every day there are chefs who have worked with me in different cities, and they really want to come and work with me. So I believe somewhere it's a good thing. The moment I have stepped into a commercial kitchen, they have always been supportive. I've realized that, there were chefs on duty with me and they have stayed back till 12 in the midnight, leaving their families away so that, I have everything sorted for me. They know that I am a home chef. I don't know how to run a commercial kitchen. So it has overall been a good journey with men chefs around me. And of course, it has been a learning also. And now I'm realizing, okay, theek hai, they want to work with me also now. So that's also a good thing overall. Yeah, with
I think
time, I realized, yeah, tell me.
no, say that you were saying something. With time you realized.
No, I'm saying, yeah, with time, I've realized that, it's a community overall. So we have to be there for each other. If we keep that gender specific thing, we just remove it from our head and we are chefs. We are pastry chefs, or someone is a curry specialist, someone is promoting some other cuisine. Overall, we are a community, so we just have to be there for each other. That's what I believe.
Yeah, and I've seen you in working in kitchens, because a lot of these kitchens are open kitchens, and that when you're cooking and you're in that kitchen, then your face is like it shows like the intensity of the concentration. But this one line which you said towards the beginning while answering, that you need to earn your respect. I think it's a very valid thing in the professional field for men, women, young, old. I think that's. But of course, it is a slightly disadvantaged position for women because of the conditioning over these years.
Yeah.
But I think that
Yeah.
what people like you are doing is sort of creating the ground for. And also, why, like you said, I mean, all these people saying, Didi, aapke saath kaam karna hai. So the first person I interviewed, Pinky Chandan Dikshit, she said that also when a woman is like, the boss or in charge, the boss woman, then there's probably a more sensitivity in with the way in which. Okay, now I want to ask you a couple of questions before we close. One question which I want to ask is before what you're doing currently is the lockdown, because you had got into a certain momentum before the lockdown, and just before the lockdown, beginning of 2020, you had this big career experience when you went to Dhaka and were invited by the High Commission and cooked over there. Before that, you also was a runners-up in the Fox Life show Chopped, right? Was it what is his name?
Great.
Yes, yeah, yeah. So it was this thing. So you were on that high and that momentum, and and suddenly came the lockdown. And I'm very interested because the start of 2020 for me also was like like Sachin and
Yeah.
Ganguly on a song in the beginning of a innings, and suddenly the wicket falls, Seva goes, this that, and you come to number 7 and 8 trying to bat out the over. So tell me a bit about that momentum and then the lockdown, and how did you face that? What did you do?
Kalyan, honestly telling you, it has been a transformation completely, and transformation for good. So after Grilled, everyone started having those expectations of me opening a restaurant. And till from that journey, I was just taking my own time to think what I need to do with myself, whether I need to open a restaurant, what kind of restaurant. It has to be a sit down, a cafe, a fine dining. And just before lockdown, I was looking for these places to open a restaurant in BKC. And we were almost there, where, I wanted to open Kanak by Sherry as a fine dining restaurant. And I had just come back from Dhaka, all happy that, okay, I'm just going to start my own thing now. And with all the planning done and everything. suddenly lockdown happened, and there was a big disappointment and a worry that, okay, now what will I do? But step by step, after 2 3 months, I started cooking from home. I thought, I can't sit like this, I have to do something with my life. And then I realized, back to back, people started ordering food. They were not scared of just ordering food from a home chef. And then that made me realize that, okay, I need to have my own setup of a delivery kitchen model now. So definitely lockdown has been good because it gave me a lot of answers about my life, of what I have to do for my future. And see, here I am today. So
Yes,
quite happy.
yes, yes. In fact, I
Yeah.
must say that like the lockdown has given us so many answers, and sometimes I have not been appreciative of that. And Kanak keeps telling me that no, you this thing, and what you said is also lovely because I mean, this chat would not have happened had it not been for the lockdown, and all these
Yes.
amazing home chef meals. I mean, which made me start my other series, Foodocracy Kitchens, where I just sit with the food and talk to the camera about whatever I know about Bihari food or Kerala toddy shop experience or Assamese food and so on, Odia food, which I'm going to have tomorrow, and it's been absolutely fabulous. But now, tell me what brings you to Mumbai. What are you going to start? Kanak by Sherry, which is starting in Mumbai in a week or so, and the kitchen I believe is not too very far from where I'm sitting.
Yes.
Tell us a bit
Yes.
about that.
Yes.
What's happening? What's the plan? And what can we hope to eat?
So
As
Mumbai
Kunal
is a
says, खाने
place.
में क्या है?
Yeah. Yeah. Mumbai is a place where, I left this city, but somewhere I realized the city is not ready to leave me. And I kept on coming back, kept on coming back. Of course, always for good. Receive lot of love from from all of you. And again, during lockdown, I was functioning between two cities. So I was doing catering in Pune, I was doing catering in Bombay. But I realized that I'm spending more of my time in Bombay, and they have been back to back orders. The moment I used to reach Pune, I always used to get calls, people giving me calls for the food. And then again, I realized, okay, Sherry, Bombay is the place and you have to be there. You have to do something there. And people were just like, Sherry, we want you here. We want your food here. And then I realized, okay, now this is the time when I need to do something. I need to open my own delivery kitchen, and where I have to promote the first cuisine that is my roots. So we have opened Kanak now, and where we have this menu of undivided Punjab.
So
You're
this
not
is
going to get butter
so
chicken.
currently it's more Punjab than Himachal.
Yes, it
So
is
no
undivided
bhang
Punjab.
laddus and all that, or that
No, you will be
sabzi
getting
with
that.
bhang and
You will definitely be getting that, but that's going to be on a plan of maybe once in a month. We are going to put special menus on that. But currently, I'm just focusing on my roots. Currently, I'm just focusing on undivided Punjab. They are the menu comprises more of dishes of the other side of Punjab. So it is more of Lahore, Peshawar, and Rawalpindi. Uh, like I told you earlier, also, you're not going to get butter chicken. It's not on
but
the
we'll get
menu.
mutton belly ram, the
You
belly
will
ram
get mutton
mutton, and
belly ram.
but there's also vegetarian also,
Yes.
right? There's also vegetarian
Y-
in your
Yes,
menu. There's
yes,
also
yes.
vegetarian.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. There is a good combination of vegetarian and non-vegetarian dishes on the menu, and we will be changing our menu every second month. So there will always new things coming up, and that's just keeping me busy, and I'm extremely, extremely happy about it.
so how would people place orders with you, like on your site or your
So
site or delivery
currently,
apps
yeah, yeah. So currently, I'm just taking personal orders,
on
but Swiggy and
Instagram?
Zomato will go live in next, yeah, Instagram, Facebook page, my contact number. But we will be going live with Swiggy and Zomato in next 2 weeks. So seems like busy days ahead, constructive days ahead.
So, Sherry,
Yeah.
tell me, you're doing more of food from the other side of Punjab, West Punjab, so to speak. The reality of our life today is that one can't really travel there, unlike say Bangladesh, where we Bengalis can. Both my parents were born there, though they've grown up in
Wow.
India. So, how have you
Nice.
done your research about the food of Rawalpindi, Lahore, Karachi, all of that, Peshawar? How have you done that? Because even here, there are restaurants which will say more Peshawari or dal, Lahori. But how would you get a certain amount of realism in the food? How
So
do you do your research?
when my grandfather used to, narrate stories to us in childhood, when my grandmother every weekend, she used to make tandoori rotis in the tandoor. He used to discuss about his friends. And what I did was that I only remember two of his friends, and they also have passed away now. But one of their family is in Batala. Now, Batala is very close to Amritsar, and the other family is in Lahore. So what happened that I just picked up the phone and I called them. And then they gave me so many other contacts related to their cousins and friends who have been staying there. I have been connected to so many bloggers, food bloggers in Lahore. So I keep on discussing in length what is happening on the other side of Punjab. So yeah, that's why I always believe that food is something which will always connect us, and that is how I have been doing my research, and I believe it has been really really helpful for me. So I always check with them, अच्छा कौन से बाजार का सबसे अच्छा मटन होता है लाहौर में, कौन से बाजार का सबसे अच्छा चिकन होता है. Then there is butt kadai, so they keep on sending me pictures also from the local markets. So that's how I've been connected with them on social media. So yeah, that is the only medium I have been on promoting my Kanak and knowing more about the history of the two states in different countries.
What does Kanak mean?
So Kanak is something, it is the grain of the wheat. And when people wanted to, I realized that when people wanted to know about Punjab, uh, I have to talk about both sides of Punjab. And I realized that this is the state which is giving wheat to the entire world, the maximum produce. So
Granary of
I
the
thought
world.
this is, yeah. So I thought इससे अच्छा नाम तो नहीं हो सकता for my kitchen, and that is where Kanak was born.
We've had that discussion on how I like rajma with roti, and you told me that originally it probably was with roti before basmati became the trendy
Exactly.
thing, and
Right.
it became rajma chawal. So you told me that I'm not too off. Okay, as a closing, I just must say I didn't really know about this angle, and I'm so happy that you said this, because while Foodocracy for Her is about women and women chefs and their stories, but what was my initial driver when I started becoming got into food writing, and when it moved from a passion and a hobby into my profession, so to say, and I was wondering which direction to take, because I'm a generalist, and I also practice Buddhism, and Buddhism teaches you to look for the purpose, and then
Right.
work towards it. I realized that my purpose is to bring people together, and to unify people. And I thought that as a writer, I can do that by writing about the food of people who are different from us. And that's something where whenever I travel across the world, also it was very easy to have conversation. If you would ask someone that, hey, what do people eat every day or on special occasions, they would be more likely to open up than if you were to ask them whom would you vote for, or how much you earn, or how is your marital life
Right.
like, and stuff like that. And I realized that food is such a wonderful connector. And even when I started my food walks, which became the basis of my book, The Traveling Belly,
Yes.
at whose launch you'd very kindly come in Calcutta, and we met for the first time. Um, Even my food walks was, the idea was to take people first to places in Mumbai, and then other places like Calcutta, Delhi, Bangalore, in my book, through the country, to places where they've not been to, and eat the food of people whom they don't interact with, either religion, class, community, whatever, and get to know that you're talking of real food. Real food is eaten by real people. So Sherry, what I was telling you, I think the connection broke in between, so I don't know if you heard it, but I'm so
No,
happy. I'm so happy that you've launched Kanak by Sherry. Not only
Thank you.
because of what you're planning at a personal
Thank you
level,
so much.
and but also the fact that you're telling us the story which unite us through food rather than divide us, and I think that that's what this world really needs. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I think it's been my privilege to first of all talk to you today, and especially share the story of Kanak. I think it's my, because it just goes in with everything which I want to do as a food writer. So it's been my
No,
absolute
you are
privilege for you
so
to.
humble, Kalyan. It's the
Thank
same
you so
here.
much.
It's my privilege to be with you on this session today. I'm totally enjoying every bit of it.
Thank you so much. So, and I think we are both. I think it's a privilege to be not interrupted by our cats. Baby Love, Nimti are both here, both listening to
Absolutely.
our cat
Absolutely.
mama's story. So, wish you all the best for Kanak, and
Thank you so much,
you know.
Kalyan.
So, guys, if you are in Mumbai or if you're watching from anywhere and have folks in Mumbai whom you want to order some good, undivided Punjabi food, which is not butter chicken, then Kanak by Sherry is the place to look out for. Wish you all the very best, Sherry. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kalyan. Thank you so much for having me over. And it was great conversation where we actually spoke a lot about food and how women are equally at par with men, and how they have conquered to be where they are reaching today in the industry equally. So yes, it has always been good to have discussions with you, and today also one was those days where we had good time discussing food with each other and exchanging so many good stories.
And also, what I learned is that not just at par. I mean, there are many cases where we men have a lot to learn from you guys. So, thank you so much. Thank you,
That's
and
again your big heart to say that. Thank you so much for having me over, Kalyan.
and all the best for Kanak. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay.